So today I'm going to go over why do countries want population growth. So you have a GDP, gross domestic product, and that's basically equal to your productivity, so how much stuff that each person produces in the economy, multiplied by the number of people in that economy. With GDP, what we want to see is it's good if GDP keeps going up, because that means you have a growing economy. That makes it much easier to manage all of your obligations. Think of it this way. You want to be able to pay out the Social Security for the retirees that are currently retired because there's not enough money to support them, so you need the current workers to put money into the pot to pay out those benefits effectively. You also have debt that the government has to service. If your economy keeps growing, proportionally, the debt gets smaller and smaller compared to the overall economy. You also want to have maintenance, you want to have roads, you also want to have services such as fire departments, police, schools, things like that. What happens if GDP goes down? Well, what happens is we can look at Japan, and what's probably going to happen next is in China, but you can lead into recessions and depressions because you have less demand each year because you have less people to demand those products. And then you also have less productivity, so you have less things being provided to the economy. What gets you in a lot of trouble at this point is if your obligations are now increasing in proportion to the economy. So imagine your debt is now more than 100% of what the economy makes in a year. It becomes harder and harder to service that debt. And as you make less money each year, think about you just personally. If your credit card bill keeps going up, but your salary or income goes down each year, and let's say your mortgage to your house keeps going up, but again, your salary goes down, how are you supposed to continue those payments? You default at some point, which is not good. So how can we make sure that we keep growing? Well, you can increase the productivity per person, so using tools, machines, computers, artificial intelligence, robotics, things like that. So Japan has a lot of robots. So if you go up to a counter, you order things, it's usually through either a computer, a robot, or something like that. The number of people. So you can either try to keep your people alive and keep them productive as long as possible to help push this out. You could also increase the number of births. You need about 2.1 births per female to replace the current population. The only problem is the birth rate worldwide has been declining in most of the major economies. You can also rely on immigration for people to move into a country. Japan has had several lost decades, started in the 1990s throughout basically the 2010s and things like that. They're still growing. They just narrowly missed a technical recession this last year in 2023, but their population is declining by about 0.5% per year. China is going to have this problem. It's already locked into the demographics because they had a one-child policy for many years. They've since gotten rid of that, but it's too late because it's already there. Currently, because people chose boys over females to keep for their one child, effectively there's 35 million extra men. Those 35 million extra men are not going to be able to find a wife and basically have a household or have children. So at least there's 35 million families that will not be formed. So that family tree will basically die out as well. The U.S. birth rate is currently only at 1.66 children per female. And like I said, you need about 2.1 children per female because some people can't have kids. Some people die early. You just need a little bit more than two to replace the father and the mother because there are some people that will never have kids. Okay, so how do we continue the growth? What can we do to keep growing as a population? Well, you can have selective immigration. This brings in productive working age people. You can have H-1B, H-2B visas. You can have engineers, you can have doctors, scientists, and they help contribute to that economy. They start new businesses. They come up with new inventions. And I'll go through a number of people that have come to the U.S. as immigrants that have made huge impacts in our lives. You have F and M visas. These are student visas, so you get people to come to the country. They learn in the schools here. They contribute to the local economy, and then hopefully they stay so that they can come in as H-1B, H-2B visas. I have a lot of friends that are engineers, doctors, scientists, different people that have come through the U.S. in that way. And then they can go through a permanent residence, or basically you go through a green card. And if you take an exam and do a bunch of additional work, they can become U.S. citizens. Once they become U.S. citizens, then they can vote in federal, state, local elections. But until that point, you can't vote in federal or state elections. There are some local elections that allow it. So what impacts have immigrants had on the United States over the years? Well, Alexander Graham Bell, if you know Bell Telephone, inventor of the telephone, this is one of the reasons why the United States has a country code of 1 when you call somebody. Albert Einstein had E equals mc squared, relativity. He was a co-inventor on a refrigerator. He also contributed to the discovery of nuclear weapons. Basically, this was during the Manhattan Project. Albert Einstein actually left Germany in 1933 when the Nazis came to power. He eventually came to the United States and was a professor at Princeton. He also worked at the Patent Office for the US, and he contributed a lot to the Manhattan Project in order to ensure that we had nuclear weapons. He was very afraid that Germany was getting close to actually achieving one of those weapons, which could have ended the war, but in Germany's favor. Levi Strauss, he brought blue jeans to the United States. Ralph Baer, basically the original video games, the brown box, was brought to the US there. Enrico, he had the first nuclear reactor, which had nuclear power in the United States. Nikola Tesla had a ton of inventions. These are a very select few that you may recognize, but alternating current for the electricity that you have in your home right now. He was actually told by Thomas Edison that he worked for a period of time to try to help Thomas Edison have direct current become successful in long-range transmission. Nikola Tesla figured out that it's not working, and he invented AC power. Thomas Edison didn't want to pay him, so he no longer was going to give him the $50,000, so he sold that invention to Westinghouse. The radio, there's some discrepancy of who actually invented the radio, but his patent claim was ultimately upheld in the U.S. court. And then there's hydroelectric power. All the hydroelectric power stations that are built today are based off of his technology. Heidi, she had frequency hopping, which was anti-jamming, and that was used in torpedo signals so that the enemy couldn't stop the torpedo as it came to a ship. It's used today in global positioning satellites, so our GPS, Bluetooth, as well as Wi-Fi. So thanks if you're watching this and you're using Wi-Fi. Elon, he had online payments. That was through PayPal. This made it easy to make online payments. Before this time, it was very difficult to buy anything online. So he also has reusable rockets. So before that time, everything was single use, which makes it very expensive to travel to space. Imagine every time you went to work, you would just throw your car away. So that's not really practical. He also advanced battery technology, electric transportation. Sergey, he was a co-founder of Google. James Kraft was basically the owner and inventor of Kraft cheese. And James brought basketball to the United States. Those are a couple of, I would say, significant impacts that immigrants have had on the United States for the better. If I looked at this, I would say, how many jobs have some of these people created? How have we been able to reduce our carbon input between here and here? We've had people that have helped us in communication, defense of our country through here and here. There's a lot of things that immigrants have done for the country. I know my great-grandmother and spoke to her. She immigrated here from Czechoslovakia, and I've had other family members that have immigrated to the United States. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I cover a lot of financial education topics such as how to make more money, how to invest, and how to save. So thank you for watching and have a great day.